Moving on now, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has urged US counterpart Donald Trump to help secure a meeting with Vladimir Putin in Turkey on Thursday, while accusing the Russian leader of not seriously wanting to end the war. The Kremlin has refused to say whether Putin will travel to Turkey after he himself proposed Russia-Ukraine talks in a weekend Kremlin address. On the other hand, a US President Donald Trump kicks off his Middle East tour. He said that in Riyadh, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio will be in the US delegation at the peace talks in Istanbul, which could yield pretty good results. Here's what he said.
Being held in Turkey later this week, probably on Thursday, and they could produce some pretty good results. Our people are going to be going there. Marco's going to be going there. Others are going to be going, and we'll see if we can get it done.
President Zelensky has said in Kiev that the West should impose massive sanctions if Putin skips the meeting, emphasizing that he would do everything possible to make it happen and secure a ceasefire. Here's what he said.
Очікувати тільки, як мінімум, сильного пакету від Сполучених Штатів Америки санкцій проти Росії. І це вже санкції, подивіться, не за агресію, не за окупацію, тощо. Тобто компромісів вже і так мільйон. Санкції за те, що вони не хочуть, навіть припинення вогню. Це повинен бути найсильніший пакет санкцій. Бо це є воля до закінчення війни, або ні. Тобто це чіткий сигнал, що вони не хочуть і не збираються закінчувати війну. Або навпаки, вони продемонструють, що вони не тільки з ядерною зброєю серйозні, але й без неї.
Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron has warned that France doesn't want to unleash a World War III over Russia-Ukraine and stated that Ukraine acknowledges it cannot retake all the Ukrainian territory seized by Russia since 2014. He also stressed that no legal framework existed to seize frozen Russian assets, and it was not a good solution. Moreover, he promised to impose new sanctions on Russia if it rejects the ceasefire and suggested that France is open to stationing its nuclear weapons in other European countries as a deterrent against the country. We're now joined by Glenn Grant, ex-advisor to Defence Minister of Ukraine, located in Riga, Latvia. Thank you very much for joining us, Glenn Grant, on the programme.
Yeah, thank you.
Glenn, do you think Zelensky's Putin must show up condition strengthens Ukraine's hand, or does it risk Moscow stalling talks entirely?
I think those two things are connected, actually. I mean, Putin has made it clear that they're not going to stop doing what they're doing. I mean, his comment about will come with no preconditions, and then, you know, sort of in the next breath saying, you all know what our conditions are, tells you that that they're not actually backing down on what they want from this meeting. So there's no diplomacy, there's no weakness, there's no conciliatory move whatsoever from the Russian side. I mean, they've not even, during these days when they promised the 3 days of ceasefire, they didn't stop they didn't stop firing and attacking during those 3 days. So I think we can be pretty sure that Putin's idea is to stall and to gain time for something else. Zelensky is playing a hard game because he wants Trump to be involved, obviously, and he wants Trump to see that Zelensky will compromise. But you know, if Putin doesn't turn up, there's no discussion with Lavrov. We've all seen Lavrov the last 7 to 8 years. Lavrov is you know, he's dead in the water. He doesn't do anything. He just parrots Putin's words.
Glenn, what are your thoughts on French President Emmanuel Macron admitting to Ukraine the possibility of making concessions, whether that's Crimea, which was annexed in 2014, or other territories taken by Russia during this war?
Well, come on. Macron is as weak as it's possible to be for a president. He goes up and down like a yo-yo. He shows hardness when he's with Zelensky, and then as soon as he goes away, he backpedals as fast as he can. He's a fair weather friend, as they say. I mean, you can go back 3 years, and all the things that he said, all the things he's promised about troops and about supporting, about trainers in country, and none of them are materialized. So I just don't bother listening to Macron anymore because it's not worth it.
I want to go back to this possible meeting between Zelensky and Putin. Is it possible that we see these two men in a room together? Because it seems just so far from something that could happen, but it seems to be a possibility now.
I think the only time you'll see those two in a room is if there is a cataclysmic failure on the part of Ukraine, and they go backwards so far that Zelensky actually has to admit failure, admit that they've lost. And I don't see that that's going to happen in a hurry. I think that Zelensky would have to give up his presidency before that would happen. So I don't see Putin actually coming out of his hidey place because he's too risk averse. He doesn't want to die. He'll be thinking that someone's out to get him, and maybe they are. So I just don't see this happening in a hurry. Now, I may be wrong. He may turn up, but I'd be very, very surprised. I'd be willing to bet an awful lot of money that you won't see Putin in a hurry.
Glenn, obviously there's been a lot of talks about the possibility of this 30-day ceasefire. Do you think the international community is putting enough pressure on Moscow to agree to it?
No, the international community is putting no pressure on Moscow. The international community is talking amongst itself. This is groupthink. This is, hey, aren't we wonderful? Look at all the things we're doing together and all the chats we're having together and traveling to Kiev and everything. But they are only dealing with each other. They are not dealing with Moscow. They're not doing anything that actually does anything to Russia or Moscow. In fact, they're doing the reverse, if anything, because Macron's last talk about there will be no third world war. Well, that's just meat and vegetables to Putin. He just listens to Macron and says he's weak. He's not going to do anything against me. So actually, the West is failing badly to frighten or worry Putin and Russia in general in any way, shape or form, including the sanctions. What sanctions are they going to do? They've not done them in 11 years. So what are they about to do now?
Glenn Grant, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to talk to you on the programme. We now move over to the Middle East, where Israeli